Our next speaker is Jean-Marc Manach, coming from France. He's a self-taught internet journalist since the 1990s, was co-author of the Counter-History of the Internet, in which quite some of our heroes are portrayed. And in 2014, so this year, he got a Data Journalism Award for the Migrant Files, of which I hope we're going to see some. Jean-Marc Manach.
Hi. Oops. Well, you hear me? Yeah. A few years ago, I discovered a Dutch NGO, United Against Racism, who began in 1993 to collect all the information available about all those refugees and migrants that die trying to reach European borders, or who die inside European Union. And they built a database which at the time listed more than 14,000 people who died between 1993 and 4 years ago. And when I looked at this listing, well, there were dates, there were nationalities, there were the number of corpse bodies they found. They mentioned the routes, the countries, and the media where the information was written. And when I looked at this PDF, it looked like a spreadsheet for me. So I contacted the NGO and asking them, can you give me the whole database, the whole spreadsheet, because I'm making data journalism, so perhaps I can do things with this. At that time, I was working for a French website whose name is OVNI, and who make quite on the press because we worked with WikiLeaks to data visualize the leaks that WikiLeaks published. I had to wait for more than 1 year and a half to have the opportunity to work with a developer and a web designer. And in 10 days, we managed to build this map. It's exactly the same data that you have in this database. But what we organized is we designed a layer of the countries, and you can click on each country. You'll have all the stories of the more than 100 people who died there. You can read the stories. You can read the stories of the people who suicide by hanging, who by immolation. We just collect the data and make it possible for a human being to read the stories, because it's better to read a story this way than to go through this kind of PDF for 29 pages. So you can use it all country, and we discovered that was interesting because there were no statistics in the PDF. But with our visualization, we were able to show that most of the people died drowned, and that they didn't die inside European, but in Mediterranean. And some of them died in Africa before reaching European Union. And that was not written in all the studies that were accompanying the statistics of the Dutch NGO. And this story has been shown worldwide and began to attract attention of people to what this NGO did. 1 year ago, we decided with others, European data journalism, to make another project, because in fact there is this Dutch NGO, but there's also Gabriel Del Grande, who is an Italian journalist who does the same type of collection of data. But we weren't able to see whether data collected by the Dutch were the same as data collected by the Italian one. So we have granted by a journalism fund in Belgium. And for months, we aggregated the two databases. We merged them. We cleaned all the duplicates. We fact-checked that the data were actually the facts that were previously released in press release or in articles. And we were really shocked to discover that more than 50% of the dead collected by the Italian journalists were not in the Dutch database, and both sides. So we discovered that more than 23% died trying to reach European Union since 2000. We weren't able to collect and to analyze the data before 2000. But we were able to draw this map, to publish several articles in several European Union newspapers, and to explain that the more Frontex, who is the European agency in charge of fighting illegal immigration, the more Frontex closed our frontier, the more the people take risks and the more the people died. Of course, what happened in Lampedusa helped people be aware of this tragedy. We were working on this for 4 years. But there's another thing that is not shown in this map. It's another kind of data journalism. It's when I read all the annual reports of Frontex. In these reports, they are full of statistics. How many smugglers have been taken? How many illegal immigrants from Syria, from Eritrea, from Afghanistan, etc., etc., etc. But no data about those who died. When I found Frontex people to ask them, but why do you have so much data about the living one, but no data about the more than 23,000 one we have collected and we have shown? And the response of the Frontex guy was, excuse me, but my job is to fight illegal immigration, okay? Those people are dead. They are not migrants anymore. It's not my job. When I looked on several other databases of migrants, of maritime security, from United Nations, from European Union, nobody ever dealt with migrants. This project has won one of the data journalism awards last year, but the most important thing for us was that because we showed this, the European Ombudsman read our paper and decided to do something, and she called Frontex. And since then, we've seen one European Union official agency who steal our database and who create a report. We've uncovered how many migrants died trying to reach European borders. So we phoned them and asked them, please state that it's our work. And what they find, in fact, is that they also collect migrants who died in Mexico. So their report was about 40,000 people who died trying to reach to cross borders since 2000. One thing that is I'm quite happy now is that the Dutch NGO made its own map. At the time when I contacted them in 2009, they were still using FileMaker, for those who know FileMaker, to manage their spreadsheet. And with the spreadsheet, they created a PDF. And now I'm quite happy to see that they also created their own map. As we talk about surveillance issues, the first map, remember the first map we've created at OVNI to show the migrants who died, was also used to create this other map. This is, it was one of the last time I went to London. it was to present the spy files. The spy files was a trove of documents that has been gathered by an NGO who was able to enter ESS. ESS, it's the main marketplace for surveillance arm dealers. Its entry is forbidden to the public, forbidden to journalists. You can only enter this marketplace whether you're employed by a secret service, policeman, or government. But someone managed to go inside. He took all the documentation he could take and shared it with WikiLeaks and Privacy International. And based on this, all those documents, the people of the Bureau of Investigative Journalism made a spreadsheet with all the company, all the country, all the types of weapons used, whether it was Trojan horse, phone monitoring, or internet monitoring weapons, etc. But it was a spreadsheet, and its spreadsheet doesn't speak very well. So we took quite the same layer of map, and to show that most of all those companies that sell surveillance activities are Western companies, companies who live in democracies. But most of their clients are not in democracy. And you can manage through each country, and there you'll show the name of companies plus links who goes to WikiLeaks pages which enlist all the presentation of all the ARM technologies that are sold. And I will show for UK audience, because you've got Fisher, Gamma International. And as I've got a little bit of time left, yeah, okay. I wanted to show to you something else. Oh, it's a creative. Way of making data journalism. This is a map I've made of the French listening SIGINT station. So it's worldwide, because you've got Echelon, we've got Frenchlon. Because as France has lots of territories all over the world, we were able to install listening stations all over the world. Most of those listening stations were known because journalists wrote articles stating that there's a listening station in Dome, there's a listening station in Kourou. But we never had proof. And I found the proof of those listening stations in public tenders. Is it the way you say in English? Okay, in public tenders. Because when you've got a listening station, I will show you some. A listening station, you've got some, the listening stations, but you've got full of grass. And you need to cut the grass. So the French Secret Service had to issue a public tender to look for gardeners to cut the grass. And the name, the address, and the name of the listening station, it was the proof that it was really a listening station of the French Secret Service. And that helped me make the map. Another thing that helped me make the map is eBay. Because here you've got 4 insignias of another French Secret Service, who is the DRM, Direction du Renseignement Militaire, who oversees the listening stations abroad, not inside the country, but abroad. And so you see, you've got the spider all over the world. And I knew this was the insignias of those listening stations, but I was not able to figure in which country or in which town. And I found information on eBay, because on eBay you've got lots of people who sell and buy this kind of insignias. And these are the collectioners of insignias that say, well, this one is in Senegal, this one is in Kourou, etc. Thanks to eBay. So that's another way. It's not, what I try to stress is that data journalism is great to visualize information and help people understand something. It's a great way also to explain that it's a scandal that Frontex never wrote about those who die, but only about those who are living and put in prison. It's also really great to help European unions change their way of looking at people who die. But it's also, when you know that datas can talk, data can be proof, you can also find this kind of information. I was, last month, I don't know if you've heard of Chris Coleman. Chris Coleman is a Twitter account who's been launched 3 months ago, I think, who is presented by Algerian press as the Moroccan Snowden, because he leaks hundreds of secret documents obtained from the Moroccan embassies. And looking at the metadatas, the propriété, comment on dit propriété en properties, yeah, well, of course, properties of the document, I was able to prove that it was not fake, it was real document. And one of the documents he published was email that let people think that French journalists asked to be paid by the Moroccan secret services. And it was really interesting to discover that Yahoo created DKIM, which is a cryptographic solution to fight against phishing and scam. And this DKIM is, as its cryptography, it was the proof that the emails have not been forged. So it's the third layer of data journalism. It's like forensic, exactly as you try to express. And thank you.